Hi, I'm Hugh Hancock. I'm the guy responsible for this thing being called Machinima in the first place, among other things.
Machinima.com is a URL, is essentially a brand that I acquired in late 2004, early 2005, with the idea that we could build something interesting out of it.
Who founded Machinima? God, I forget his name. He was an English guy, and he sold the domain to the Devovois, who own the company now. Yeah, that's like a whole documentary that needs to be done on who actually founded Machinima.
Machinima, a combination of the words machine and cinema. It is the use of real-time 3D computer graphics rendering engines to create a cinematic production. Now, I'm sure if you asked 1,000 people what came to mind when they heard the word machinima, 999 of them would have no idea what you were talking about. But even that one person in the know might not think of what I just told you. Instead, he or she might think of a YouTube channel, a face, or maybe a logo. All of these things represent the machinima we know today, Machinima Incorporated. But that machinima might have never existed had it not been for people creating machinima films years before. Confused? Great. Let me explain. This is the history of how a word created to represent an art now represents a brand. This is the history of machinima. So before I go any further, I want to really make this one point clear in order to avoid any confusion. Many people simply know the word machinima to be the name of a video game entertainment network. But when the word was first said back in the year 2000, it was not meant to represent a company. It was the name given, and I'll put this as simple as possible, it was the name given to the art of creating films using video games. With that being said, while the word was first coined in 2000, the machinima film phenomenon had actually begun in 1992. Stunt Island, a PC game published by Disney Interactive in 1992, was the first game that completely catered to the aspiring machinima filmmaker. The game provided an island to the player with access to different sets and props. In addition, the player could position cameras, set object movement, as well as use the built-in editing mode to splice footage together and add sound effects. The makers of the game said, the goal was not a high score, but a spectacle.
This is Alpha 19er requesting Patriot assistance.
Hold, we're not ready for you.
Some might say this next game is what truly got the ball rolling for machinima films, but I believe Stunt Island is still worth mentioning as it was innovative and ahead of its time. Released in 1993, ID Software's Doom, a science fiction, horror-style shooter, included the ability to record gameplay that could later be played back by the game engine in real time. This turned the player into a performer, allowing for recording of speedruns, which is when a player attempts to get through a level as quickly as possible, and other tactics that could be easily shared. A few years later, in 1996, Doom's successor and the godfather of machinima films, Quake, was released. The game kept the ability to record while adding the multiplayer element. This allowed for players to watch and study the gameplay of clans and others. On October 26, 1996, one of those clans, the Rangers, surprised everyone when they released Diary of a Camper, the first widely known machinima film. This short film did what no recording had done before. It told a story. Using the chat feature, the Rangers added dialogue to what were typically just action recordings. Diary of a Camper was just the beginning of what became called Quake movies. A dedicated community began to form around these movies, and continued to produce popular films such as Clan Phantasm's Devil's Covenant, the first feature-length Quake movie, and Blabalicious, which won many Quake movie awards. The Quake movie community continued to produce works with the release of Quake 2, but the 1999 release of Quake 3 Arena was not as friendly to the Quake movie enthusiast. Because of this, new works came out less frequently, and the community clearly needed to reinvent itself. January 2000. Enter Hugh Hancock, and we begin our road towards Machinima Incorporated.
Hi, I'm Hugh Hancock. I'm the guy responsible for this thing being called Machinima in the first place, among other things, and the author of Machinima for Dummies and director of the feature-length film Bloodspell.
In January of 2000, Hugh Hancock, the founder of Strange Company, what is now the oldest professional machinima film production company, launched a new website called Machinima.com. Under Hancock, Machinima.com was a place to find tutorials, interviews, articles, and releases of machinima films.
Machinima is traditionally considered to be animation or film made using a game, but that's not actually quite the case. Basically, Machinima is using the technology that games have developed to bring puppetry into the 21st century. When you're playing a game, obviously you're controlling a character with this little stick, and if you pull it in certain directions, they do certain movements, like wave their hand or shoot things. And when you're puppeteering, you're controlling a character with this little stick, and if you move it in certain directions, it'll wave its hand or whatever. So fundamentally, you can use a game engine as a way of doing puppetry. You can then take the viewpoint from one of the game players playing the game. You can record that, and you can use that to make a film, and that is the essence of Machinima. Now, that applies whether you're using a game engine or whether you're using another package like Second Life or some of the Machinima programs like MovieStorm. It's all, essentially, it is puppetry with computers.
Hugh Hancock very quickly became a god within the machinima film community. He wrote Machinima for Dummies, a do-it-yourself guide to machinima filmmaking, and co-founded the AMAS, the Academy for Machinima Arts and Sciences. The AMAS, a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting machinima film, helped bring serious mainstream attention to the community. In the years to come, the art of machinima would see its brightest time. 2002 saw the first Machinima Film Festival at QuakeCon. In 2003, In the Waiting Line, the first Machinima-style music video aired on MTV.
Do you believe what you see? Motion is sweet, nothing is real. Wasting my time in the waiting line. Do you believe in what you see?
That same year, the first episode of Red vs. Blue was released. Red vs. Blue, hands down the most well-known machinima, is a series based in the Halo game engine.
Hey, yeah? You ever wonder why we're here? It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it? Why are we here? I mean, are we the product of some cosmic coincidence, or is there really a God watching everything, with a plan for us and stuff? I don't know, man, but it keeps me up at night. What? I mean, why are we out here, in this canyon?
It was, and still is, an absolute hit for Rooster Teeth Productions. The first season was so well received that the premiere of its second season was held at Lincoln Center in 2004. In addition, Machinima has appeared on Comedy Central's 2006 Emmy Award-winning episode of South Park, Make Love, Not Warcraft. And in 2007, HBO purchased the broadcast rights to a documentary named Molotov Alva and His Search for the Creator, making this the first work made in a virtual world and purchased by a television network.
In January of 2007, a man named Molotov Alva disappeared from his California home. Recently, a series of video dispatches by a traveler of the same name have appeared within a popular online world called Second Life. What follows is his story.
What you're watching right now is a diary I've kept to explain how I ended up living in this online world and why I left my straight world life behind. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So how do I examine mine? Where do I start? Well, I had a house, a bed, people I loved, and people who loved me. But whatever connection I once had to that carbon-based world is now gone.
As Machinima's popularity grew, more people began to take notice. One of those people was Alain de Beauvoir. Mr. de Beauvoir had been working in multimedia and has had his hand in early-stage internet companies for years. He played a large part in the creation of TMZ.com and has served on the board of directors for internet companies Sportsline, iVillage, LowerMyBills.com, and Dealer.com. In addition, he was a part of the first Tron movie. He worked on computer-generated imagery, which is apparently what sparked his interest in the art of machinima when he discovered it. In 2005, Alain de Beauvoir purchased the Machinima.com website from Hugh Hancock for an undisclosed sum. This began the transformation into the machinima we know now.